Welcome to the So That's Why podcast, where we unpack the science behind everyday questions. I'm Jen.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Matt.
Right, today we're answering something that affects everyone with a smartphone, laptop or tablet, which is basically all of us. Why does blue light affect sleep? Because we've all heard we shouldn't scroll through our phones before bed, but has anyone actually explained why?
So you're talking, Jen, about this nightly ritual of lying in bed, promising yourself just 5 more minutes of scrolling, and then suddenly realizing an hour's gone by and you've watched 17 videos of cats being scared by cucumbers. Exactly,
I'm guilty of it, I have to admit.
Yeah,
maybe not the cats and cucumbers, but hey.
No, definitely those as well.
But here's what's fascinating. For most of human history, the only blue light we encountered after sunset was moonlight or starlight. Now we're bathing our eyeballs in it right up until we try and sleep.
And so hopefully by the end of this episode, we'll have explained why your brain interprets that phone screen as a tiny artificial sunrise, how specialised cells in your eyes communicate directly with your internal clock, and why children are significantly more vulnerable to these effects than adults.
Plus, we are tackling whether those trendy blue light blocking glasses actually work or if they're just expensive fashion accessories.
So let's start with why this matters. And research shows that using an LED backlit device for just 2 hours before bed can suppress melatonin production by over 50% and delay when melatonin starts rising by an hour and a half. The reason that's significant is when you consider that melatonin is your body's signal that it's time to wind down.
And the knock-on effects are substantial. Studies found that around a third of people experience reduced sleep duration with evening blue light exposure, and half of those report feeling less tired at bedtime, which sounds positive until you realise it means your body's natural drowsiness signals are being overridden.
So then, Jen, all those times I've thought, I'm not tired yet, I'll just watch one more episode. My phone, apparently, is lying to me, at least that's how I'm interpreting it, and so will feel betrayed by my own technology.
That technology betrays us in the end. It's always, I've seen that movie, it always does.
It gets you in the end.
What's particularly concerning is research showing that pre-bedtime blue light exposure can reduce the proportion of deep sleep throughout the night. And of course, deep sleep is when your body does its most important restorative work.
Yeah, I mean, we covered in our sleep episode how critical those deep sleep stages are for things like your memory consolidation, physical restoration. So disrupting them, it's got consequences well beyond just feeling groggy in the morning.
Okay, chaps, so what actually happens biologically? How does the blue light from the screen mess with my sleep?
The key players here are specialised cells in your retina.
So let me guess, Chris, right? They've got a name that I have absolutely no chance of pronouncing whatsoever.
I knew you'd do this to me. They are called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells.
So, yes, is the answer to the question.
Yeah, but for today, we'll call them iPRGCs in short. So these iPRGCs don't contribute much to vision at all, but they detect ambient light levels and send that information to your brain and effectively to its master clock.
And these cells also contain a light-sensitive protein called melanopsin. And here's the crucial bit. Melanopsin is most sensitive to blue light wavelengths, specifically between 460 and 480 nanometers. And that happens to overlap significantly with the light emitted by our screens.
What a surprise.
What a surprise.
I've no idea what a nanometer is, but what a surprise. So we've basically got specialized blue light detectors in our eyes that aren't designed for my Netflix binge. That's what you're telling me, right?
Yep, exactly right. And when blue light hits these melanopsin-containing cells, they fire signals along a pathway directly to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which we'll call the SCN.
I love that.
Now, I want to be super chiasmatic.
We've got one. We've each got one.
And this SCN, I'm not going to try and say it again, it sits in your hypothalamus in the brain. But if you think of the SCN as your body's central timekeeper, it's coordinating your 24-hour circadian rhythm.
And when the SCN receives these signals saying bright blue light detected, it interprets this as daytime. So in response, it sends inhibitory signals that suppress melatonin production in the pineal gland.
So my brain then is literally thinking the phone is the sun.
Yeah.
Is that right?
At a biological level, I'd say yes. So your circadian systems can't distinguish between natural daylight and artificial light from screens because both activate the same pathway. Under normal circumstances, as evening approaches and blue light exposure decreases, the pineal gland in your brain starts producing melatonin about 2 hours before your usual bedtime. This rise in melatonin signals at your body that sleep is coming.
But when you're exposed to blue light in those evening hours, this melatonin, the normal rise, it gets suppressed or delayed. And research has shown that this follows what scientists call a dose-response relationship. Brighter blue light produces greater melatonin suppression.
So I had no idea my casual scrolling was having such a measurable biological impact.
I know. And what makes this particularly relevant to modern life is that blue light's effects are wavelength specific.
And interestingly, but probably not surprisingly, the effects don't disappear immediately when you turn off the screen. So this suppression of melatonin and the alerting effects can persist for some time after that light source is removed. So your circadian system doesn't have an instant reset button, for instance.
So if I, even if I sort of put my phone down finally, say at midnight, the damage is already done for that evening. Is that what you're saying?
To some extent, yes. So the melatonin delay has already been triggered. And this is why recommendations focus on like limiting blue light exposure in the hours before bed, not just at bedtime itself.
And something that's really interesting for parents to know is that children are significantly more sensitive to these effects than adults. So sorry, kids, but it's true.
But sensitive how? What does that mean?
Well, a study comparing children with an average age of about 9 to adults around the age of 40, it found striking differences between the two. So under blue light enriched lighting conditions, children experienced over 80% reduction in melatonin levels, but adults showed much weaker responses to the same light.
That's it. And there are several factors that explain this. So firstly, children have larger pupils than adults, and that allows more light into the eye, but also their crystalline lenses are clearer. Yeah, as we age and get a bit more jaded, our lenses naturally yellow, and this actually filters out some blue light, whereas children's lenses transmit a higher proportion of blue light to those photosensitive cells.
So the very thing that gives kids those beautiful crystal clear eyes also makes them more vulnerable to the screen, which is ironic, isn't it? Every parent trying to pry an iPad away at bedtime. Good news is you've now got scientific backing, which your children will fully understand and agree with.
Yeah,
good luck with that.
Yeah, no, they won't. But children, they also naturally produce melatonin earlier in the evening and in higher amounts than adults, which may make the suppressive effects more pronounced. And then the heightened sensitivity is particularly concerning given how common device use has become before bed.
Yeah, and at the other end of the kind of age spectrum, older adults may be somewhat less vulnerable because of that lens yellowing that I mentioned earlier. But however, this reduced blue light transmission can actually contribute to weaker circadian rhythms and the sleep problems common in elderly people.
It's worth noting that individual sensitivity varies quite a bit too. Some people seem to tolerate evening use with minimal sleep disruption, whereas others are highly sensitive. And there's also genetic variations in clock genes and differences in melanopsin sensitivity, and they all contribute to this variation.
So some people then really can get away with scrolling before bed whilst others can't, which hardly seems fair to me if I can't.
Life's not fair.
Get over it.
Yeah. And research backs that unfairness. So research has shown that under identical light conditions, some people experience near complete melatonin suppression while others show minimal effects. So if you've noticed that evening screen use doesn't seem to affect your sleep, you may be less sensitive. But if you're struggling to sleep and actually get off to sleep at that onset, limiting evening blue light is definitely worth trying.
Okay, so what about then, guys, the blue light blocking glasses? I see them everywhere. Do they actually work? Should I buy them?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And the research here shows mixed results, but actually on the promising side. So there's certain studies involving people with insomnia have found that wearing amber tinted lenses for 2 hours before bedtime did lead to improvements in sleep quality and duration compared to clear lenses.
And the key word there is amber tinted. So blue light blocking glasses vary enormously in their effectiveness. Some clear blue blockers filter only about 10 to 30% of blue light, whereas amber or orange lenses can actually block 90% or more. The darker tints that block more light tend to show more consistent benefits in the studies.
Well, I've got some amber tinted ski goggles I could wear to bed. That might be worth it.
Yeah, I want to see a photo of that. Reading your book with your ski goggles on.
Yep,
or
doing that.
Looking at your phone.
I don't want to see a photo of that. But for those who can't avoid like evening screen use, amber tinted glasses used 2 to 3 hours before bed may help. So it's definitely worth a go. But it's not a complete solution because it's the stimulating content itself. Scrolling social media, catching up on work emails, watching exciting shows or boring shows. They all activate our brains regardless of wavelength. So they all contribute.
Which is fair enough. Yeah, I get that. So what about night mode then on phones?
Well, research here is interesting. There was a study in 2024 that suggested that overall screen brightness might matter as much as or more than the colour of light. So night mode combined with reduced brightness appears more effective than either alone.
That's interesting, isn't it? So turning on the night mode but keeping the brightness like at maximum seems to be like self-defeating, doesn't it? So, Chris, practical recommendations. You've bound to have got some, but what are they?
Yeah, a few things. I think dimming your screens and using warmer colouring settings in the evening, worth a try. Considering amber tinted glasses if you must use devices before bed. And ideally establishing a consistent time, say 2 hours before sleep, when you set devices aside altogether.
So one thing we should address is the persistent myth that blue light from screens damages your eyes. And it's important to note that current evidence doesn't support this.
Which is interesting, isn't it? Because there's a lot of marketing hype out there. And I know we're always down on marketing hype, but there is a lot of marketing hype out there about protecting your eyes from the harmful blue light.
Yeah, you can get blue light treatment, so you can get protection from blue light. So it's a complete kind of hypocrisy. And the confusion comes from laboratory studies using extremely high intensity blue light on isolated cells. But the thing is, screens emit far less blue light than natural sunlight does. The sun delivers up to 1,000 times more blue light than you'd get from your electronic device. So if a screen blue light was genuinely harmful to our retinas, outdoor sunlight would be catastrophic. Yet our eyes, of course, can handle daylight fine.
And the American Academy of Ophthalmology, they've stated that there's insufficient evidence that blue light from devices damages eyes. What screens do cause is digital eye strain, dry eyes, fatigue, headaches, but that's from prolonged screen use and reduced blinking, not the blue light itself.
That's interesting, Jen. So any more recommendations, Chris?
Yeah, so there are some simple environmental changes that can help too. So switching to warm coloured, dim lighting in the evening or bulbs with lower colour temperatures, that reduces blue light exposure without requiring glasses or screen changes.
Yeah, and don't overlook the power of getting bright light during the day. So getting outside for natural daylight, especially in the morning, that actually strengthens your circadian rhythms. And so it might reduce your sensitivity to evening light disruption. It's not just about avoiding blue light at night. It's about getting enough at the right times.
So morning sunlight then is my friend, if I understand it. But late night phone scrolling is perhaps a frenemy. I just like that word, frenemy. Had to get it in.
It's a bit too Gen Z for me.
We're down
Gen
with
Z
the
or
kids,
Gen Z?
it's okay.
I don't know.
I don't know which generation we're in these days. Alpha, beta, I don't know. But no, you're right. I mean, the real concern here with blue light is the circadian disruption rather than eye damage itself. And this connects to everything else we've discussed on this podcast. So sleep quality affects cognitive function, mood, metabolism, immune function, everything.
And the circadian system also influences when we feel hungry, when we have energy, and when hormones are released. So disrupting it with mistimed light exposure can have ripple effects throughout your biology.
The good news if there is some good news, is that blue light exposure during the day is actually beneficial. It promotes alertness and it helps reinforce strong circadian rhythms, as Jen was saying. It's specifically the evening exposure that causes these problems that we're talking about.
Yeah, and listening to you guys talk, I'm realising maybe just 5 more minutes of scrolling might be costing me more than I thought. So not just lost sleep, but lower quality of sleep when I do finally drop off.
So why does blue light affect sleep?
Blue light affects sleep because specialised cells in your retina containing melanopsin are highly sensitive to blue wavelengths. When these cells detect blue light, they signal to your brain's master clock that it's daytime, which suppresses melatonin production and delays your body's natural wind down process.
So every time I check my phone at 11 p.m, my brain genuinely thinks I've glimpsed the sunrise. No wonder I can't sleep after a scrolling sesh.
Now you know why dimming your screens, using warmer light settings, and ideally putting devices away a couple of hours before bed can make such a difference to sleep quality. Your circadian system simply can't tell the difference between your phone and the morning sun. That's it for this week. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're unpacking the science behind everyday questions each week. Tell us in the comments what you'd like us to explore. Thanks for geeking out with us. But for now, that's it from me.
That's it from me.
And that's it from me.
Bye for now.